Welcome to the club's annual competitions. This is the Club PDI competition with narration from myself, Dave Morrell. Let's start with Foxbury Chasers. This is a lovely, engaging image where the girl clearly has great affection for the horse. The whites, however, look a little bright, but not enough to distract from the details in the horse's or the girl's face. Attentive horse gives a lovely feeling to this image. Alice threw the sweeping brush, a mischievous face. It wasn't me. Eyes aren't clear, but it doesn't matter as the mop of hair balances the bristles. Good separation and tight crop adds to a mischievous feel. Beyond the trees, here we are drawn from the darkness towards the light. The framing dominates a little and restricts our view beyond the trees and drives us to the brights, not to the mountains. Good details, however, in both foreground and background allow us to wander a little through this image. A sailing trip. Very geometric image with strong horizontals and verticals. We may possibly lose the bottom jetty, which would give more dominance to the 5 sails. The cloud actually complements what's going on here and the lines of the sailboats as they exit the marina. Almost deserted. We've got a powerful lines which are taking us to our subjects from both the front and the rear. Well worked in mono with some great contrasts and detail throughout without any distractions taking us from the subject. A powerful image. Lunchtime. Good lines frame the hoverfly. We've got good separation, but enough detail in the background to let us know where this hoverfly is. A good, pleasant image with great detail on the hoverfly. Belzay Castle. Everything drives us to the battlements while we wait for our damsel in distress to appear. We've got some great detail in here. We've got some great complementary colours, particularly the blue of the sky and the orange yellows of the brickwork. And we've got a very tight perspective with very powerful lines. Squirrel viewpoint this way. Just in case you weren't sure where the squirrels are, this is telling us exactly. We've got some great separation and we've got a very strong triangle between the sign, the squirrel and the diagonal light on the left hand side. It's well framed, it's a great fun shot, well seen. I only have eyes for you. A pleasing portrait, capturing the affection shown towards the horse. Horse isn't really fussed about the photo as its ears are pricked backwards and it's listening to something else. The highlights take us through the image rather quickly from top to bottom. But we have good separation, we have a lovely pose between the two elements and we have a good crop as well. So a pleasing enough image. Asian beauty. A well isolated flower. Chrysanthemum, I think, but I'm not an expert. Possibly a slightly tighter crop on the right hand side to lose the blue square would help. But great detail within the petals, good depth and achieving good separation with good complementary colours that does work. Going under. Great perspective, creating a dynamic but precarious feel to this image. Clearly the difficulty with this shot is the high contrasts on a very bright day, and unfortunately the highlights have blown on the waterfall, which is the main focus of the subject. Great detail within the bridge and great detail within the rocks, and I just hope our photographer was in a safe position when they attempted to take this shot. basking in the spring sunshine, an R factor without a doubt. Great framing, putting the light subject against dark shadows, and the fence drive us towards the lambs holding us there. The fence gives us good separation, keeping us well within the image, a well-worked shot. No music tonight. This is definitely a Maria Celeste moment. We have a powerful symmetrical patterns forming throughout this image, and it's interesting that as we move from the foreground into the blackness, it leaves us with a sense of sorrow and mystery as to just what's going on. Powerful, thoughtful image. Clouds rolling in. Foreboding feel to the image as the trees and the stream take us towards the viaducts. The clouds aren't really obvious in the image as at the very top of the image. That said, we have good detail throughout, and the long format works, and it gives us time to explore what's going on in the image, which is a very pleasant landscape. Looking forward to the ride. A good format and well-placed subjects within the frame. Both engage with the camera, but the horse dominates as it's at the foreground, and there isn't really a lot of emotion shown between the horse and its owner. Highlights again, just a little bit bright on a leg, not enough to distract too much, but we have good separation between our subjects in the background, and we have some lovely details in this rather magnificent animal. That look of disdain from our grey crowned crane. We could possibly lift the shadows a little bit on its head, as there is some interesting detail in that forelock on its head. There's some lovely details within the textures of the feathers of its plumage. The format works really well. There's some good separation, which lets us focus in on this rather pretty bird. Don't Shoot Me, female red grouse. Good format, works well. It's well framed. The bird looks really tense and worried. Thinks something's going on here. We have good separation, which adds to the isolation and tenseness of this bird. Let's hope she got away, as the camouflage isn't really that good, is it? Is this the way to Scarborough Bay? Well, yes it is, but it's 12,000 miles that way. Queen Elizabeth Quay Bridge in Perth, Western Australia. The arch on the left dominates the scene, but we still have good framing between the arch and the rails, which take us to our subjects. Nice pastel-y feel with this evening light. Clearly he knows where it is, and she's not too sure, or maybe not even that bothered, to be honest. Good image. Float tide. This is the tide rushing in. However, there's no real sense of an incoming tide. Maybe a longer exposure to give some sense of movement would work. Possibly lift the shadow slightly, because there is some nice colours and details on those rocks, and the horizon isn't quite level. Something worth watching out for in the future. Nice curved lines and details take us through this image, and the rocks on the right keep us in the image for us to explore that little bit. Late afternoon. Nice receding contrast starting to form in the background hills. It's a little underexposed, but again, it's difficult lighting. We're shooting straight into the sun. Maybe worth, and the photographer might have done this, to hang around a little bit with these type of shots just to see how the sunset develops and whether we end up with something a little bit more powerful and more of what we're trying to achieve with our shots. Good lines, however, of the hills and interesting clouds starting to form. Saltburn Pier. Here we have an iconic pier in typical summer weather. The horizon is a little bit sloping, unfortunately, and we're seeing some chromatic aberrations on the verticals, those green banding that we see. And we're starting to see some pixelation along the length of the pier. The image does work, however. It's powerful lines taking us through the image as we see the happy summer holiday makers promenading along the top of the pier. Poppies in the sun, powerful dominant flowers. Possibly a little bit too dark as we can't see any of the flower stalks. So the flower on the right looks as if it's just suspended there. However, the backlighting does work, and it gives us a very interesting and emotional take on this very emotive subject. Waiting for the horn to sound, the calm before the storm. Horses are attentive, not sure if the riders are particularly attentive to what's going on. Does the image tilt a little bit to the left? Possibly. Anyway, it's a good format. Nice autumnal feel to the image. Pensive but exciting feel to the image. And our final image, bonfire night. Boom. Difficult scene to capture. Format works well. Possibly a little bright. We have no detail in the explosion at the top, and we've also cropped the main explosion off as well. That said, great exciting party feel to this very dynamic image. These are difficult to capture. That concludes the images. Now we have commended. I only have eyes for you. Basking in the spring sunshine. That look. Highly commended. Belzea Castle. No music tonight. Don't shoot me, female red grouse. And in third place, we have almost deserted. In second place, we have squirrel viewpoint this way. And in first place, we have Alice through the sweeping brush. Thank you.